Hello. Okay, we're back with another long form video. Yeah, that's what these are called. I had to move over here because there's literally been construction going on in front of my house for like 6+ months and I just can't with the noise. Okay, side note, tip, reduced distractions. I almost went into my entire closet. I was like, we're gonna get this done, okay? You know, you can work around things. You can. You just have to have the motivation to like rewire the life is gonna keep lifing, so we have to keep doing it too. Today's topic is going to be about multitasking, and it's also going to be a little bit of a call out if you saw my reel. So basically, I have no notes. We're just gonna free ball this. Free fall. So multitasking pretty much is the question of, does it exist or does it not exist? Both. It exists for women. It don't exist for men though. And I'd like to disclose that every time someone has said that multitasking doesn't exist, it's always been told to me by a literal man. And you want to know why the literal men tell you that multitasking doesn't exist? It's because they can't do it. Y'all can't do it. Like, it's just, you're literally like not built that way. You're not built like me. You're not built like women. So basically, like, multitasking, if you don't know what that means, multitasking, you are doing multiple things at once. You're able to split your focus to multiple things at once. That obviously will reduce the little bit of the quality. Like, I completely understand, and I realize that, like, you know, if you're multitasking, then it's like the quality of your focus goes down a little bit depending on how many things you're focused on, right? So for example, if I'm listening to music and reading a book, like, am I fully comprehending what the words are saying, as well as, like, for either, right? So if you're listening to a song, you're only half kind of hearing the lyrics and you're only kind of half reading the book, but at the same time you're still doing both. Or for example, there's also the fact of, like, something as simple as, like, you're on Instagram or TikTok and then you're also watching a TV show. You're getting both. The quality is just a little bit lower, but this is where practice comes in. For me personally, being an assistant, being an admin, I kind of don't have a choice, especially if I have multiple clients, right? And which I do. I can't, like, decide. Now, mind you, it depends on, like, if there's like a huge project to do, I'm not gonna sit there and like try to multitask the different projects. I will have all of them open in front of me and I will split my focus that way. So it's really about prioritizing. Like, for one way that I do multitask is, like, I will be both texting my boyfriend while also answering my clients in text, or I'm on the phone, or I'm actively doing like a project on my laptop or something while also being on the phone, or I'm like, and again, this is where multiple screens comes into play for me personally, because you're like, if you're on one screen, you can't really do the whole multitasking thing because you have to switch the screen, right? So I have to go from texting one person to texting the other person. I can't do both at the same time unless you have two phones. Like, I'll literally be holding my phone, and then my business phone, and I'll be going like this, and people can attest to this. They literally see me walk into the room going like this, and I'm actively on both of them. But like, you have to be smart about what you're splitting your focus for, right? You can't really do, they have to be kind of like similar in the kind of thing that you're doing, right? So again, like, if you're working on a project, like, I'll have like the text open about a project while I have the project open. So it's like you're still in the same realm. And mind you, this is where you're actively doing activities. This is where the multitasking comes into play. Versus mentally, oh yeah baby, we're doing the flips, we're doing cartwheels, we're doing all of them. We're doing all of it at the same time, mentally though. The act of actually doing something in multitasking, that slows things down a little bit, I'm not gonna lie to you, because, like, you know, women can only do so much, right? But for example, you can't really sit there and tell a mom that she's not multitasking when she's like both cooking and consoling her crying child. And if you try to tell her that she's not multitasking, I really hope that you just simply prepare to get ripped into, because, you know, she's already struggling a lot, but she will also make room to multitask and be angry at you at the same time. I promise. I promise you. For example, I've also been told by men themselves, like, this is me, like, just like, I'm regurgitating exactly what I've been told, okay? So my boyfriend has told me that his mind is like this. Here's one box and here's another box. His mind can't exist in both of them, so he'll be here, then all of a sudden it goes whoop and he's over here now, right? And I'm like, okay, but like, what about this was still here, this was still actively going. No, he shut it down. This is how men's brain, this is how they work. For example, if you ask them what they're thinking and they go nothing, it's not like a woman where it's like, we're actually not telling you the truth and we're saying, like, we have all the things going on in our mind and we'll still say, oh, nothing, like, I'm fine. They actually mean it. When they say nothing, it's literally head empty, no thoughts over there. This is what I've been told by him, by his friends, and I just sit there in complete befuddlement because what? I'm sorry, you're like, you're not thinking, or like, they live so much in the present that they're really not thinking about the future. I'm like, I'm sorry, you didn't think 2 weeks from now? Like, for example, as a black woman, when I do my hair, as I am doing my hair, I'm literally thinking about the next 2 to 3 hairstyles as I'm actively doing my hair. I'm thinking about the days I can get them done. I'm thinking about the colors. I'm thinking about the actual kind of style that I want. Like, there is no stopping. So even when I'm resting, when I'm sleeping, I'm literally still processing information. Like, I was sleeping this morning, and even though I'm at rest, I'm literally unconscious. Tell me why I'm thinking and I'm dreaming about like an entire conversation that I'm supposed to have today. It doesn't stop. I can literally sleep and think at the same time. That is multitasking for women, because our brains don't stop. It exists, just not for men, and that's okay. That's honestly fine. But it's like, the amount of men who have told me that multitasking doesn't exist, it's been my father, it's been like people I work for, and I'm like, no, this is why you guys hire assistants, because you guys can't do it. Your assistants can honestly do their job and yours, because they have to learn your job in order to keep you accountable for your job, and that is their job. So it's like, I could take your job. I'm not going to. I'm not. I don't know. I low-key get annoyed when people tell me that multitasking doesn't exist, because it's literally just not true. By people, I mean men. I'm gonna keep saying it, because like, I've literally never been told by a woman that it's not possible. And I feel like this needs to be a wake-up call for like people everywhere, as well as like within the business world. It exists, just not for you guys. Hence why you hire other people. Usually a woman, you usually have a woman assistant. And we're not just your secretaries, you understand that? We literally keep you guys accountable. We're quite literally your business babysitters. But one thing about me, I'm gonna always be real about it. So I'm sorry if this is like offensive, but at the same time, it needs to be shared. So based off a quick little Google search, right? I just said, why is it hard for men to multitask? And it says, men use more brain resources to switch between tasks. So it takes y'all a lot more brain muscle to even get to the next subject and to focus on said subject versus a woman. We are just built differently, and that's okay. But we need to recognize the differences now. I refuse to be told that multitasking doesn't exist. And this is literally my job to multitask. I have to juggle like 5 to 10 different people and keep them accountable, as well as keep my own schedule accountable. I have to look at 2 different calendars on my own calendar app so I can maintain 2 different people's schedules, including myself. Like, yeah. I have to maintain multiple lists all at once. Like, you can't just decide to just be focused on one thing, at least not in my field. Like, it's just like, you can be focused on one thing, but you have to learn how to prioritize where your thoughts are. You want to compartmentalize. So like, if you're doing something similar in like the similar realm, similar niche or whatever, do those at the same time, versus like, I'm not gonna work out and try and like catch up on my emails at the same time, you know what I mean? Unless it's like now mind you, like if I'm on the Stairmaster or something, or if I'm like biking, you know what I mean? But like, versus like, if I'm actively doing a HIIT workout, am I really, and my mind is doing this, like, mind you, like I follow videos, so like I could follow a whole HIIT workout video and my mind's like thinking about 5 different things that I need to do after that, and like already mentally responding to messages, because I'll check my phone in between, like in between sets or whatever. Sometimes I respond in between sets. It really depends. Like, you have to like know yourself and know your priorities and all of that. So like, multitasking is not ever going to be the same for anyone, but it can happen for you. You have to use multitasking to your advantage. Don't force yourself to multitask because you took on too many things, if that makes sense. You need to use it as a tool. To me, that's what it is. It's a tool. So it's like, it's not like, oh, she said yes to too many things, or like she's overwhelmed so now she has to do everything at once. No, I've thought about it. I've thought about it. And again, like, this is where the difference happens, where like, men don't think that far. I think that far. Women think that far. The researchers note that some research has found gender differences in both multitasking and the cognitive abilities required to do it. For instance, studies have found women to have an edge on multitasking, but men to have, say, better spatial reasoning abilities. So there you go. So we can do the multiple things at once, but you guys are more of like, you can still kind of come to a situation a little bit more logically. Now, mind you, that's fine. I'm not gonna get offended by that. Like, for example, the whole joke of like, me not going to my boyfriend or my husband to like complain because he's gonna hit me with all the logical solutions, versus being dramatic with me. Like, you know, sometimes I just want to explode, but men don't. They have a disadvantage on multitasking because you guys just don't think that way. You are more of like a simple one at a time kind of a thing, which is fine, but hence why there's men and women. We balance each other out. So like, yeah, like I said, you have to compartmentalize your multitasking. Honestly, like at my old job, they put me on like a coding project. So like, as I had the actual coding program open, I had an instructional video to kind of help me walk through it, but I didn't really do like, once I picked it up, you know what I mean, I didn't have to keep pausing the video. So I would let the video play and I would be processing his words, and then I would be actively doing it on the other screen, on like my split screen, right? I don't know if this applies to every woman, but for me personally, my processing time, I've noticed, like, it can be very quick. It's also slow at the same time. So it's like, you can say something to me and I'll be like, huh? And in the middle of you repeating yourself, I answer the first thing that you said. Because sometimes, like, I do a delayed thing so I can make sure I have all the details I need. Mind you, I'm not really in control of this. My brain just works this way. It's like my brain will purposely slow down to fully get everything so I don't have to ask all the extra questions, and so I can kind of just like go in knowing everything already, you know? That's kind of how the multitasking works, where it's like I can slow down one task in my mind while also actively being on the other one at the same time. So then, like, as I'm slowly processing on this side, I'm going really fast over here. It's like one of those things where it's like, you know, one step, half step behind, but I'm still doing them at the same time because this is all happening within like a couple of seconds, you know what I mean? It's just an odd concept. It's definitely arguable. I mean, not really, because like at the end of the day, like, men just can't do it. You don't do it very well. That's just the end of that argument. I'm not gonna lie. For the girlies, you know, like I said, you want to have kind of a similar thing going on in order for you to multitask. So it's like if you're like keeping up house and home as a mom, for example, you can still console your child while also cooking or cleaning or whatever. You just want to make sure that, like, when you're multitasking, like, if you're doing a high intensity task up here, you want to have a low intensity task on the other side, but they still need to be somehow related in like the context, right? Because that way, like, you're still putting a good amount of energy here, and this doesn't require as much energy, so then you can do both at the same time. Versus like if you're trying to do 2 high intensity tasks at the same time, it's very difficult, and then the quality goes down for both tasks. And then for like lower intensity tasks, you can honestly do 4 of these at once because they're all right here, they're all pretty low, and it's easier for you to switch your mind back and forth. The active doing of said tasks, that's a little bit slower than the actual mentality. The multitasking is really in your mind. It's not like the actual doing of things. That's why, like, women have a better advantage on it, because we already think about 20 different things all at one time. So sometimes, like, especially like if we've already thought way ahead, the actual execution of the tasks really isn't that big of a deal all at the same time, just because if we already mentally thought through it, we've already been there. We were there 2 days ago. Just like men, I've been told, like I said before, it's like they have to think one thing at a time, and so then they do one thing at a time, and it's like they think about what's right in front of their face. They don't fully think about like what do I need to do tomorrow. It's an interesting concept. It's very interesting how different we are, but you know, that's just how it is. So that would be my basic understanding and explanation of multitasking. It's just don't do 2 high intensity tasks at the same time. You can do multiple low intensity tasks at the same time, and just make sure, I mean, not even make sure, but women just do this naturally, but it's like to reprioritize yourself. Like if you've already thought it through, then you can kind of just decide like, okay, I'm going to apply this action for these 2 to 5 things right now. Like if you haven't really thought about it, then like let it brew for a little bit more, you know what I mean? And then you can execute it better. But it's like, for me, like I've already thought about what I have to do tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. Like you just have to, like my lists, I'm telling you, as soon as things hit my head, it's on my list, and I have added it to the I've added it on a date with a time for me to do it and think about it, and like it's already happening. Like next month is already happening. Like if I'm already booked out a couple of months, you know, I just can't. I'm sorry. Like it needs to happen now. It's happening now. Like I said, men cannot multitask, women can, and that is quite okay. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk.